everyone, and welcome to, well, I would say a new type of video, but I think that most people watching this channel would think, well, what's the difference? This is me basically sucking big time at a particular game. Well, in this case, it's at two particular games. This is R-Type Dimensions that's available on Xbox Live Arcade, and essentially it's R-Type, which means it's ridiculously difficult and ridiculously unfair. Now, what's really cool about this game is the fact that, as you can see here, this is the arcade original graphics, but at the simple press of the Y button, which I will demonstrate very shortly, I'm sure, it completely revamps the graphics to modern day. Not that it makes the game any easier or any more playable. There you go. There's a modern day overhaul. Doesn't make it any easier or any more playable. It's still the ridiculously difficult and often unfair, as I demonstrate there by getting a rocket up the arse, game that it always was. You know, funnily enough, I actually found this easier on the 8-bit computer formats. I had this on the Commodore 64, and it wasn't the best version of the game around, to be perfectly honest. And there was a game that came out on the C64 called Catechis, and it was essentially a big massive rip-off of R-Type, but it was far better than R-Type. It was one of those bizarre situations where a clone of the game actually transpired to be much better than the arcade original. And yeah, as you can see, just major suckage is happening. I think what the thing with R-Type is, it's a game that, like most of these old school side-scrolling shooters, the further you get into the game, the harder they get. So you need the sort of weapons power-ups that you collect in order to get through. And what happens with R-Type is it totally strips you of all of the weapon power-ups that you pick up. You get them via these little jumpy things, little hopper ships you see there. They can be a pain in the arse in themselves, because if you collide with one of the little bastards, they'll kill you too. So you have to blow them up. But there's just times in the game it gets utterly ridiculous. Now, I'm playing this in the classic mode. You can get the infinite mode going, and infinite mode is just what it says it is, which is essentially you just keep on playing till the end of the game. You don't have any lives, you have infinite lives, and yeah, that's pretty good if you want to see all of the game. But for me, no, there's no point. I've played it on that mode, and literally you just play, die, play, die, play, die until you get to the end of the game. There's no real sense of achievement there whatsoever with it, and I know why they've put it in is because R-Type is such a phenomenally hard game that most people would be, these days in particular, would be like, oh, this is rubbish because I can't get past the first level, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you know, yeah, this is what games used to be like. A lot of it is just memorizing patterns, you know, learning how to defeat the bad guys at the end of the level, like this little number here. You know, that was all par for the course. This is what you had to do. You had to figure out how, you know, to defeat them. You know, a lot of these games that were based on coin-ops were actually designed purposely to kill you, because they wanted more money off you. You pop in your 20p pieces or your quarters or whatever, and then you'd play for a few seconds and you'd die, and then you'd pop in more because you wanted to see more of the game. That was how they were designed, and they didn't change the gameplay just for the home computer formats. I don't really think the idea of that came along until the advent of the likes of the home consoles, where they realised that simply doing a like-for-like version of the arcade was probably not the best of ideas. Because obviously if you've purchased the game on the home console or home computer format, you're not going to be pumping in pennies every single second to see more of the game. And so, you know, they tended to either dumb down the difficulty a little bit, and in some cases they had to because of the lack of power, and in other cases they just made different types of game modes. As you can see here, R-Type Dimensions has the sequel R-Type 2, and again you can see you've got the various options there to mess around with. The other thing you can do as well is select the level that you want to go on. Again, it's not something I'm particularly fussed with. And once again, as you can see, you start out with the well, you don't start out with it, you can choose whether to have it or not, but I thought I'd do it just for comparison's sake. This is what the original looked like, and then switch over to the updated version, so you can just get an idea of how pretty the updated version looks in comparison to the original version. But again, I mean, R-Type 2 is ridiculously difficult, and yeah, and I suck equally as bad at that. So, I mean, there's not really a lot else to say. I'm diabolically crap at both games equally, and I know there'll be people out there that are masters of this game, and all I can say is to master this game, you have to have the patience of a saint, first of all, and must play it for hours and hours and hours and hours on end, learning all of the patterns and stuff like that, and learning the exact right moments, because that little pod thing on your ship you can fire forward, and you can also attach it to the back of the ship as well, and there's got to be some sort of tactical element to that as well. You know, when do you do that? When do you fire it forward? God, I don't know. I've got no idea. These are just ridiculous moments like that. They just make me laugh. It's like, what the hell was I supposed to do there? I mean, as I say, I know there's obviously ways of doing it, but Christ, if you wanted a difficult game, and for some reason then I just randomly pause the game, take a deep breath and try and collect myself and think, right, this is it, this is the one, I'm going to do it this time, I'm going to get past this bit. They don't make them like they used to, and I can definitely hear the number of people out there saying thank God they don't make them like they used to. But imagine if these were the only games you could get, games with this type of difficulty. It would alienate so many people, so many gamers who are used to being able to play games that you just naturally progress through to the end. You know, how many times do people genuinely die in these games these days? It just seems that the challenge of the game is to stay interested in it enough to make the end of the game, but well, there you go. Game over. That's me sucking badly at the R-Type Dimensions game on Xbox Live Arcade. Thank you very much for watching.